Hey there, everyone. As I'm recording this, it's about 8, 9 p.m. PST on the 6th. I wasn't streaming today, but I wanted to get my thoughts out on this quickly. J.K. Rowling is at it again. I know to some people this is kind of an old hat topic, J.K. Rowling being a TERF. But I wanted to talk about this really quickly because I feel like sometimes the language that she uses and that other people like her use really obfuscate the actual meaning of the things they're trying to say. This is an offline recording, so no chat. I'm very happy I disabled chat before recording this time. They were all on some very naughty stuff, very dirty, very sad, not good, very bad, folks, very bad offline chat. They know who they are. Anyhow, here are the tweets from J.K. Rowling. Ignore my reply down there. If sex isn't real, there's no same-sex attraction. If sex isn't real, the lived reality of women globally is erased. Oh wait, oh shit, the chat's, oh fuck, the chat's there. Oh no, go away. Nasty, nasty folks. The lived reality of women globally is erased. I know and love trans people, but erasing the concept of sex removes the ability of many to meaningfully discuss their lives. It isn't hate to speak the truth. And there's a lot to go over here. And I'm going to go over it quickly because I feel like J.K. Rowling has already been given a fair degree of charitability. I'm going to explain what she has done here, why it is transphobic and wrong. It's just factually incorrect, in addition to being bigoted. It's also very cowardly. So let's go over this point by point. First of all, nobody says sex isn't real. Nobody says this. I have never in my life. I am the most radically far left person. I have trans friends everywhere. There are trans people all over my community. I engage with some of the most hyperbolically pro-trans people online. I have never met a person say sex isn't real. Now, sex is, to a large extent, a social construct, and it is not a binary. These are both widely adopted positions by biologists today, real biologists, real scientists. So that's not like some crazy SJW thing. But nobody's saying sex isn't real. I mean, of course it's real. It's a concept. We discuss it. The lived reality of women globally is erased. So if nobody is having the conversation over the imagined existence of sex as a concept, what J.K. Rowling is actually doing here is essentializing gender, saying that sex and gender are the same thing. Think of how this tweet reads if you just take it at face value. Erasing the concept of sex removes the ability of many to meaningfully discuss their lives. It isn't hate to speak the truth. Well, if erasing the concept of sex in her mind erases the lived reality of women, that would imply that the experiences of women are exclusively a product of or dictated by their sex. Now, I don't know how many TERF arguments you've listened to, but a very common one, and this is what is called gender essentialism, is that gender and sex are basically the same thing. They are the same thing. If you're a woman, XX chromosomes, that's your lived experience. And by you destroy that reality by suggesting people can be women even if they weren't assigned female at birth, or if they're not, the term, I guess, is biologically female. It's a really, really common misdirection. But the fact remains, no matter how much people like J.K. Rowling want to ignore it, that sex and gender are different things. Sex refers to biological characteristics that are associated with your genealogy. The fact that I have a beard, the fact that my bones are structured the way they are, my voice being this pitch. This is my real voice, by the way. That's sex. But I'll tell you this. While the deepness of my voice may be a product of my chromosomes and my, hormones, the way in which I actually talk is not. Because if I wanted to, I could talk like this. In fact, like this, all I have to do is raise my tongue a little bit closer to the roof of my mouth, and I'm a little more evocative, and I guess I sound pretty fucking gay right now, but honestly, like, I could slip into this way of talking really easily if I wanted to. Maybe if I did it for a couple of weeks, it would be natural to me, and there are men who spend their entire lives talking like this. That's gender. right there. The way I talk now is a component of my masculinity. Society tells me, like, hey, this is how men talk. And I say, like, okay, sure, I'll do that. And I do like doing this. I love talking this way. But it's not my biology that dictated that. Sex and gender are not the same thing. Gender is social role, social expectation, the clothes we wear, the piercings, the way we're expected to behave. Now, some of these things are associated with sex, but none of them are directly a product of biology, which is why when we look through history, when we look at different cultures, you actually find that there are many cultures, they have the same sexes as us, their chromosomal makeup's same as ours is today, but their gender, landscape is very, very different. What J.K. Rowling is doing here is sinister and disgusting, at least to me, in my opinion. She says right here, I know and love trans people. It's the classic, like, I have black friends argument. In fact, if you replace sex with race, this sounds a little bit like a neo-Nazi argument. If race is, because race is also a thing that has a biological root, obviously the difference in like melanin in your skin, but the lines we designate around race are arbitrary. Nazis love to use that argument. Nazis love to say, like, oh, the race deniers. You think race is fake. What they're actually doing is assembling a straw man of my argument, where I say, like, race is an arbitrary social construct that is derived from legitimate biological differences, and they're saying, you don't think race exists at all, you idiot. Race actually does exist. Here are all these IQ differences, When in reality, the difference between races exists and is incredibly small and phenotypical. Skin color, hair type, eye tone, that kind of stuff, And this is kind of like exactly what's happening here. If race isn't real, there's no same race attraction. If race isn't real, the lived reality of whites globally is erased. I know and love black people, but erasing the concept of race removes the ability of many to meaningfully discuss their lives. And then we got the kicker. It's not hate to speak the truth. I've heard that from a lot of people. It's not hate to speak the truth. And most of them were pretty fucking hateful. I'm not going to lie. I will be honest with you. This is gender essentialism. The idea that sex and gender are the same, and that by acknowledging the existence and the validity of trans people and their chosen gender identity, you are damaging cisgender women, or what people like J.K. Rowling would say are real women, because you are invalidating the biologically essentialist component of what she considers to be rooted in women's experiences. But you know what? Women's experiences aren't defined by a biological reality. They're defined by the society and the cultures in which they live, and the ways in which women are taught to be domestic, servile, the way men are taught to mistreat women, the way women are taught to be catty and insecure and deferential, the way men are taught to expect female companionship just as a component of their lives. That's not biology. And to suggest it's biology, as J.K. Rowling and many other transphobes do, is to implicitly normalize sexism, arguing that it is a product of natural biological interactions between the sexes. I reject J.K. Rowling's transphobia, and I reject her implicit sexism. We can go a little further. The idea that women like me, who have been empathetic to trans people for decades, I love the use of that term, empathetic. The way you would be empathetic to like a homeless person, or empathetic to a person who lost a leg. Empathetic doesn't mean shit if you don't actually respect their identity. Trans people aren't asking for people like J.K. Rowling to be empathetic. I've talked to gamers on 4chan who are empathetic to trans people. Steven Crowder has claimed he's empathetic to trans people. They're mentally ill. Like, they're sick. They're killing themselves. Yeah, I feel bad for them. That's the empathy that J.K. Rowling is evoking here. For decades, feeling kinship because they're vulnerable in the same way as women, i.e. to male violence, vulnerable in the same way as women. In the same way as in they're not women. Vulnerable in the same way as cis woman. Cis women would have been the term to use here. Hate trans people because they think sex is real and has lived consequences and nonsense. Again, nobody thinks sex isn't real. Nobody thinks sex doesn't have consequences. It's a straw man that bigots like to throw up because by arguing that their opponent has adopted some extreme PC, far left, anti-science position, that the position they hold, one of bigotry, is actually the reasoned, scientifically valid one. And then here we go. I respect every trans person's right to live any way that feels authentic and comfortable to them. Again, this means nothing. This should be the position of any person who isn't an authoritarian. Sure, you respect the way people want to live. That's not the same as saying their identities are valid. I'd march with you if you were discriminated against on the basis of being trans. I like that right there. If you were discriminated against, sure, I'd march with you. At the same time, my life has been shaped by being female. I don't believe it's hateful to say so. Again, nobody has ever said it's hateful. You can go on my stream. It's been said many times, cis women and trans women had different experiences growing up on average. The way in which their lives have developed have been shaped by both the biological reality of their birth and by the social circumstances they were born into. This is the position of every gender scientist, sociologist, criminologist, anthropologist, historian. Like that's a ubiquitously held opinion. Nobody believes it's hateful to say your life was shaped by, I'm going to assume in this case J.K. Rowling is saying, by having a pussy. Nobody is saying that. But by implicitly suggesting that people who do believe in the identity of trans people are, crazy, PC, anti-science, whatever, she, attempts to invalidate their identities further. J.K. Rowling is a hateful person. She is. She's a bigot. And you should treat these comments the same way you would treat somebody, your favorite author, talking about how BLM is stupid because all it does is incite hatred between the races, and black people aren't even discriminated against in America anyway, and I don't think it's hateful to say that we should have a homeland for whites, I don't think it's hateful to say that black and white people should just live together without us having to deal with so much whining from the black people. Yeah, it's like that. It's like that. That's what J.K. Rowling is. I don't know why England produces so many of these degenerate transphobes, but it seems to be a cultural export of theirs. And for those of you who are curious, of course, the reason why you've been hearing about trans people in public media so much lately isn't because crazy college students have seized the airwaves and forced everyone to, endure the radicalization of the far left Frankfurt School agenda. It's because the existence and validity of trans people has been accepted by essentially every reputable medical and scientific organization in the Western world, and many in the non-Western world. But hey, I speak English, baby. People in France and Germany speak English, right? No. There's a reason for that. So, yeah. Good timing, J.K. Rowling. Sure, she just wanted some attention in the middle of BLM riots, too. Global crisis, coronavirus. I imagine she felt a little bit attention starved, and she is getting the attention she craved. So, yeah, that's all there is to it. Peace out. This took twice as long as I thought because brevity is not my strong suit.